I didn't realize I didn't have recording and then I hit it. It asked me to do it to the cloud or the computer and I went, oops.
Do we want to confirm the Samsung is Natalie, or if it's more public comment?
Oh, yeah, is there a public comment from the phone, somebody that,
Hello?
Oh, hello. It's me on the phone, Natalie.
okay, great, thank
You
you.
guys were correct.
All right, great. So I wanted to approve the agenda first and then move on to public comment.
Whoops, sorry, yeah.
Did we have the agenda approved, all of those two items?
I'll move to approve the agenda.
I'll support. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Moving on to public comment, we already talked, she's from the Watershed Council and is here to review what we're doing and kind of keeping up with us. So the next item would be Natalie.
Approval of minutes.
Approval of
I'll
minutes,
make a
but I didn't
motion
get
to-
a chance to see them.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes
Okay.
from January 12th.
Okay, thank you.
I read through them, I'll second it.
Okay,
Yeah, it looked good.
all right. All in favor?
Aye.
So. All right. Okay, I guess we move on to Natalie.
Okay, is everybody able to hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Oh, I'm recovering from a upper respiratory infection. I'm on the road, so I don't have anything formal to present to you all today. That's why I'm kind of calling in from the phone. But first, I wanted to just start and ask if anybody had time to review the report and if they had any questions for me up front.
I have not reviewed it.
I haven't had a chance.
I'll be honest with you, Natalie, I looked at it and it seemed a lot longer than we're used to.
I was gonna say, I scanned reviewed it is what I would call it. I didn't read it, study it.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, we were trying to be conscientious about the length. We're thinking in future reports, it'll probably be quite a bit shorter, but we wanted to make sure that we contextualized all the parameters. So we have a lot of there's a few pages in there that are just kind of explanations of the parameters, just to make sure that anybody who's reviewing the reports has that context. But in future years, those would probably be appended. And then there's also, we always append our laboratory results too. And that one factored out to be like about 80 pages or something of results. So don't be too put off by the total page limit.
So, can you give us she's looking at shortened version. Short version, how'd we do last year? I think we talked a little bit about this previously, but we do have a member of the public who would like a real short version if you want. How'd we do last year? We treated less, and I think you've talked a little bit about this, but I don't know. I'm looking at the exact summary right now, but.
So I think our big takeaways would be, so we did storm drain sampling, tributary sampling, in-lake water quality sampling, and then 2 comprehensive vegetation surveys. So we kind of walk through those. Our storm drain sampling, we didn't see too much for concern. Our calculated flows showed that the majority of the flows are coming from 2 of the storm drains, and the other storm drains have kind of the lower limited flows. And I unfortunately don't have the report in front of me at the moment, but I think that was storm drain 7 was the one that we saw that had the highest flows and therefore had the highest nutrient loading. But then at storm drain 5 and 2, we were seeing a lot less flows and kind of limited nutrient loading there. And kind of the same way with the tributaries, we saw the most total nitrogen coming from Hanson's Creek, and then we were seeing the phosphorus coming from Onekama and McCormick creeks, but not at any alarming levels. Like nothing was really giving us flags that these are creeks that we should really be watching out for. But we do kind of at the end have some recommendations for some other parameters that we could look at. One of those would be chloride, which is a good measure of road salt impact into the lake. And we think that that could be a valuable metric in those tributaries too. One of the big in-lake findings that we found was from the algae sampling, where our components of the algae sampling showed a lot of cyanophyta, was the majority of the algae that was found in the sample. So those cyanophyta are the components in harmful algal blooms that can produce those neuro and liver toxins. So that's kind of alarming to see such a huge presence of that cyanophyta. And we also saw elevated total phosphorus levels during the same time as that algal sampling. So those two things combined, when we first saw the results from the phosphorus samples, we thought that they could almost be like erroneous data because they were much higher than any of the historically reported ones. But then we saw that algal sample, and those are phosphorus loving organisms. And so it kind of almost checks out in a way, like you have high phosphorus conditions and then you have phosphorus loving organisms really present in the water column. And that indicates to us that potentially under, you know, calm, warm conditions, that could be a risk of an algal bloom, or even algal blooms are kind of happening subsurface, but on such a big lake, they may be even going unnoticed. So one of the things that we were considering were maybe doing another late season algal sample to see if maybe this is just some sort of spring phosphorus input into the lake is causing these potential for algal blooms, but then otherwise it tapers off at the end of the summer, or to better understand that relationship. So I would say those are our main findings. And then as far as the vegetation goes, we saw a healthy distribution of native vegetation throughout all of our surveys. And we did see a little uptick in milfoil and starry growth. But if you look at that in comparison to the treatment areas, I think it kind of factors out. So on the years that we've seen really, really low milfoil growth, that corresponds to 55 acre treatments, where this last year was just 5 acres. So it kind of is the trade-off there. We're not seeing alarming growth, but if it continues to trend in that upward direction, it wouldn't be surprising if then again more larger treatments are pursued. So I would say that those are kind of the main takeaways. And just to summarize that summary, I would say in the storm drains and the tributaries, we didn't see an awful lot of concern, but we were able to track down where the biggest sources are. In the lake, we're seeing good tracking of those invasive species, but maybe some upticks that could suggest those larger management interventions again. And then in lake, we're seeing maybe some concerning springtime or early summer phosphorus conditions that could potentially lead to those harmful algal blooms. And so I'd say that those are pretty much like the big punch list items from what we saw this past year. So yeah, any questions on that? I know that was a lot all at once. So
this phosphorus levels, and I don't know what stream, I think you said 7 had the high phosphorus levels.
Yeah, so that's First Street.
First Street, oh, thank you.
Yeah. So Natalie, just a clarifying question, because you said that phosphorus levels were higher in this year than the previous 3 years. You're talking about the actual phosphorus samples, because you guys weren't looking at total phosphorus loading because you didn't have cubic feet of flow, right?
yeah, so that's purely based off of grab samples, and then the same in the lake because those don't correlate to flows. So the lakes are just based off of grab samples were higher, and then the flows from the. Oh.
Do you think that's different because of different laboratory testing from PLM to you guys? Or do you think it's actually significantly different?
So in the tributaries and storm drains, we weren't seeing anything that was too out of the ordinary from different laboratory testing. It was mainly the in-lake one that we saw was kind of deviating from historic trends.
Okay.
So, and like again, there could be some differences that have arisen from the different methodologies and the different laboratories, and we do kind of mention that in the report. And then as we continue to collect data, it will reveal if these are nuances, or maybe we just got like there was perfect conditions during our early season survey and we just happened to capture at the time. And it's still valuable data to know if there was maybe an algal bloom happening then, or the potential for one to happen. But maybe if that was a one-off event, then there's a little bit less of concern, because again, we didn't see those high elevated in lake phosphorus levels in the late season, and we didn't have an algal sample to correlate with it then either. So
So this high phosphorus level, is this, I mean, should we, I mean, since we have a member of the Portage Lake, Forever group, Watershed Group, Forever group here, is this perhaps an educational opportunity where we get some more messaging out, where we talk about watch out for the fertilizer that you're putting out on your lawn because could cause this problem? Or is this, I mean, is this too early to, I mean, I guess it's never too early to might have education, but is this, I don't know. I guess I don't know what the question is, but go ahead if you have that.
No, I think that for sure the reason why we will often sometimes see elevated phosphorus levels in early summer and then not so much in late summer is that after all the snow melts and it just all that water is coming rushing into the lake, and it's causing a flush of those nutrients entering the waterway, and then there's not as much phosphorus uptake from the plant growth in the lake. And then as we approach late summer, you're seeing more of that uptake. So again, yeah, it is like doing that educational component of monitoring, what you're putting in the lake, and then continuing to doing the kind of the same monitoring that's going on. Like the tributary monitoring is definitely important to maintain those balances. We're also, and this was one of the things that we had mentioned in our recommendations, we're not sure on some of those slow moving storm drains that we saw weren't contributing a lot of loading, if those are necessarily wise to continue to monitor, or if maybe there's other storm drains, which leads me to a next point that I forgot to mention during my kind of breakdown of the hot items, was that we saw from the health department sampling this year that the Shimkey Creek E. coli sampling and then sampling at the Easy Street Canal were both very hot for total and partial body contact throughout the whole summer for E. coli. So we saw hits at the Easy Street Canal for partial and total body contact, I think, for every sampling that occurred throughout the summer. So that definitely is kind of an indicator that maybe there is some kind of nutrient loading concerns there. And so we definitely are interested in adding Easy Street into our water quality monitoring for this year.
And then can you remind me, I'm not seeing it in the report, for the storm drains, were those samples collected after a rain event?
Yes, the samples were collected after a rain event. There was no rain prior to the sampling date itself, but the kind of the day of sampling, there was about 0.2 inches of rain that morning, and then about 0.2 inches of rain fell during the sampling window. And I believe PLM was also targeting wet weather events as well, but it seems like on occasion it didn't turn out to be wet weather, because in Michigan it's kind of hard to predict that. But
essentially
yeah,
what
so
we from those lower volume storm drains, that was with a rain event.
yes, yeah. And one of the recommendations that we also have is to potentially also sample those drains in a dry event too, to get better understanding of maybe normal conditions. Because in the wet weather, it's good. You'll have higher flows. You'll get a good picture of what it actually is doing when it's flowing. And after all, they're storm drains, so that's kind of when they're the most active. But if you only have a certain number of those events in a year, it might be more representative to sample them at more typical conditions.
Yeah, cause I'm looking on your chart right now and like drain 7 and 8 down by the slipper down there. I mean, I know that creek starts right on my property and that thing is that, I mean, storm may go into it, but that's a constant flow deal year round. It's just a matter of how much volume you get, if it rains, it'll get higher, but there's several of these things going in the lake are, I don't know, they call them storm drains, but they're artesian flows going into the lake
Mhm.
and they go 24/7. They're going right now. So they're year round.
Yeah.
Well, that's
Yeah.
what I was just kind of wondering with like Fourth Street, like we're at tenth of a cubic foot per second, which is accounting for 0.01 pounds per day of phosphorus, whether that's even a priority for us to be sampling.
Yeah, that was kind of exactly what we had pointed out too. We were thinking, and in the end, we kind of have a pretty robust section right at the very end, that is about our recommendations for potentially altering the monitoring strategy for this year. And one of our recommendations was potentially we eliminate those slow moving drains and instead we can sample those higher moving drains where we saw the most flow and the most loading twice a year, once in wet weather, once in dry weather, so that we can better have like a representative curve of how those flows and loadings are going on in those drains. And we were seeing that in the historic data too, of just not a whole lot of flow or nutrient loading in some of those others. So, and especially like if that allows us the opportunity to also focus more on like Easy Street, where we're seeing those high E. coli loadings. We know that there's a lot of algae and plant growth in that area. That's a site that we're really interested in maybe picking up to know more about.
And I don't know what technology you have, but I personally would like to see where those drains come from and what, where does that and why do we have, I mean, that's not new news. We continually have high E. coli levels at Shimkey Creek and Easy Street year after year. I mean, so where is that, where does those creeks flow through? Do they flow through farmyards? I mean, are they flowing through? I mean, I don't even know where they start. I think it would be better to put some more resources to sort of go upstream and sort of figure that out. If these other ones are, like you say, if they're constantly the same year after year, maybe not spend the time on them and focus a little harder on those two that seem to, we having high E. coli levels. Just my thoughts.
No, I think that's a good idea. I think more sampling is in order, especially you may be able to take, like Kevin says, sampling upstream and determine, what geographic area we need to concentrate on. Maybe we need to get some messaging out or something else. I mean, we'll have to figure out what the recommendations would be if we find a source for that E. coli. I know that other governmental districts have offered to maybe help pay for, some remedies if there's a property owner that needs some help with their system or something else. And so there's lots of different opportunities.
I mean, someone's dry well might have a pipe that goes right to the
Right,
right out of their dry well or their septic, antiquated septic that basically flows in there, and that Easy Street thing just seems like, I don't know what the flow rate at the little pipe is, but yeah, I see times it looks like it's stagnant in there. I mean, it just doesn't, I don't think it moves much. And so I'm just wondering, is that it just seems like that's a man-made thing and it wasn't, I don't think it was a natural creek. I think that's all fill, that point, and so I'm not sure it has what kind of flush rate that canal has,
Yeah.
and
And that's when we start to see those high E. coli levels and high springtime flush of phosphorus levels in the lake, our first kind of thing that we want to investigate is potential septic systems as a source for those.
right. Okay. So, when is the township board meeting?
February 18th.
February 18th? So would you be able to, hopefully you're getting well there, Natalie. We appreciate you coming on today after an illness. That's part of my problem too. That's fine. But I'm on the mend really well too. But, would you be able to have like cliff notes for, understandable good cliff notes for the township board? I don't think they'll want to go through the 185 pages of notes that you have.
Oh yeah, totally understandable. We were planning on putting together a little presentation. And either
Okay.
Mark or I, or a combination of both of us, we're planning on attending in person.
Oh, good.
So yeah, we'd love to go up there. And what I can do is, sometime this week, draft up what that PowerPoint would probably look like and send it your way in advance so that you guys also kind of have that cliff notes. And then also, as you guys are reviewing the report or any questions come up, you can feel free to just email me, and I can put in any edits too before, it kind of goes up the ladder there. So.
Yeah, send it to all of us if you don't mind,
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, we were thinking about like we would try to maybe do a slide per section or so. So
Good. So, do you need any kind of a screen or resources, or just plug your computer into their big TV here would be okay?
yeah, I think if there's some kind of HDMI hookup, then that would
Yep.
be all that we would need. And then yeah,
Okay.
we can just circulate it around in advance too if it's easier for somebody else to pull it up on theirs or however it's best.
And Natalie, maybe, and I don't know what, if your analysis here, I was reading through it a little bit here just shortly ago, but as far as one of our big, not a mandate, but one of our big issues is that, the separation this year finally of the lake manager and the applicator, and that was always we took some heat for that. Always people are feeling that, we weren't given proper oversight. So I was just wondering, maybe somehow you and your boss can go through and maybe just give maybe a shout out or a little bit of a just statement about the relationship with the applicator, because we're in that system, we're in that re-upping again and trying to think about that. We need some direction and guidance. And before it was, once you did the lake with the applicator was sort of a given. Now it's like, we'd like to hear from our lake manager. It felt like it was good working relationships. They shared data. With it, you just sort of professionally tell us how you felt that relationship went, because
Good.
I just think that would be helpful in our role as the invasive species committee. What do you say?
Yeah, I think that's good that you
Yeah,
do a
for
review
sure.
here and talk about that relationship. And I mean, frankly, they had more history with the lake than you did in the beginning, and they were able to share some of that information with you. So that worked out well. But, yeah, we'll be, posting with Phil's RFP, we'll be posting for a new, treatment contractor. And I think those applications are due May 1st, at least.
Why? And does that work for you, Natalie? Cause I put May 1st on there just as yeah, so that we could get it in place before you get to June where you might start treating.
Yeah, I think that my one question I'd shoot back to you, do you think that to have May 1st be the cutoff date, do you think that within like a few weeks of having all those whatever bid documents come in, that's enough time to review and potentially select? Because that would be my only thing is, yeah, once we start getting into late May, early June, that's when we're gonna start looking to be going out there and doing those surveys, having that preseason survey with the applicator. So I definitely want to make sure that they're factoring time for you all to be able to review those documents and ultimately come to a selection.
So you may want to push the date up until like the middle of April then? Would that work better then, Natalie, or?
Yeah, I think that would probably be better and make more sense. Do you guys have a time frame in mind where you think that you will post it?
You have to go to the township board for their review, right?
And I'm gonna guess a lawyer is gonna wanna look at it.
I don't think the lawyer looked at the RFP last time. I think it was just the contract. That was the only thing I was gonna say about the May date. Since they are separated and since the contract with the applicator is with the township, we need to allow time for that to go to the board for approval, which will be made subject to the attorney looking at it. So we need to back that time frame up to,
Hmm.
And what do you need to make so your applicator can get their permits in time?
That's a good question, Natalie. What do you recommend?
To the best of my understanding, they try to have them all in definitely before May. And that's just pretty much based on if they're gonna do early season algae treatments. That's a lot of times what we'll see them. If they're gonna be on the lake in April or May, that's what they're doing. But in my personal experience, it doesn't the obtaining a permit, especially from like an already established lake contractor, doesn't seem too time consuming. But once you are reaching that early season and they're pursuing a lot of permits, that's where I think things can kind of get bogged down a little. But if they are putting in their permits by mid-April, I don't see a reason why there would be a conflict for them to start up in late May or June.
And Phil, didn't we get a remedy? I was thinking about in the meetings about, because we have some people always want to say, how come we're using chemicals and how come we're not hand harvesting and doing all that scuba diving thing? And so didn't we figure out there's a permit that you can do some of it on a trial basis, or what was it called?
Yeah, it was a volunteer, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was not as, because that was always the reason we got from our old lake manager. Well, we'd like to try to give that option, but we didn't do a permit. We can't get the permit in time. And so really you couldn't even do the option because they didn't have it in place or something.
Well, the permit is needed if you're gonna use like suction harvesting or like sediment disturbing, but if you're hand pulling, then you don't need a permit.
Okay,
The,
My
the,
thought-
yeah.
the dash is the special permit addendum. And to the best of my understanding, I don't think PLM typically does dash. So their hesitation there was probably they would have to figure out what permits they need to acquire and then, pursue them. So that's kind of like an additional permit addendum that they would need. So that is things that can bog it down a little bit.
So you would need to have those both at the same time, then the dash. Or can you submit the dash request later on later on in the year? I mean, April, May, June.
To the
And-
best of my understanding, they're separate. I wouldn't see
Okay,
why they would need to be together.
okay, great. But I think we were hoping Tyler could come up with a person that would do some hand pulling for us and.
I tried contacting her and left a message and she hasn't returned my call, and that's been weeks.
Okay.
I don't see it as a high likelihood now, just because I know she's working nights for her like 9 to 5, well, 5 to 9, whatever. But, I'll keep trying. I'll see if I can get a hold of her. That might be part of it too, is that she's not awake when I'm calling her, but,
And we were sort of thinking about doing that as a pilot, maybe,
yeah, pilot where with hand pulling.
Yeah, I spoke with Mark, and unfortunately, we don't know of any besides kind of like volunteer grassroots organizations in Michigan who would be doing like hand pulling specifically. Like we have a few of our dash contacts, but hand pulling specifically. But we continue to keep a ear on the ground about it for sure.
Good.
Sounds like we need to get the watershed group diver certified.
Yeah, there you go.
Know how to swim.
Oh.
Stay out of this.
Hey, Natalie, if we, with this RFP, can we just proceed with this for chemical treatment? And then, you know, if we decide to do Dash, work with our new contact or our new treatment company to see if Dash is a, you know, even if they sub it out,
Mhm.
is that an option?
Yeah, for sure. And I think at this point, that would probably be the best course of action.
And that's after reviewing all that, that was what I come up with, cause that Dash proposal was like 51 more pages.
Oh.
And I was looking at that and it's like, that's gonna be even worse to edit than, and I plagiarized the heck out of the one I did, so.
Nice. Yeah, Larry, reinvent the wheel.
Cause I think we're gonna be in a low water event this summer. I don't see it changing. And it was going down, down, down. Ted, at the harbor commissions that are doing measurements, Ian Duncan and at the marinas, and it's down substantially again
Really?
since fall. And I don't see, you know, the snowpack we're getting is like a fact, you know, I just don't see it changing that much personally.
Mm,
So I think it's an opportunity to maybe be on board to, if they have a plan to help educate beach owners, because, you know, once it goes low, cattails start coming up and all the different reeds and stuff, and everyone gets in the big, you know, rip them out mode, you know what I mean? Because I think we're gonna have a lot more beach this year.
Well, and we also have greater concern with the E. coli numbers that we're having. If we have low water and less water coming in, then we're gonna have more concerns and we may end up with some bad algae blooms, so, yeah, we're gonna have to, and like I say, I think testing is, you know, I would be all in favor. I think we still had money left over in our bond, this past year, so, I mean, if we need to gear up and spend more money to get these testing and make some recommendations, I think that's, in my opinion, that would probably be a recommendation of mine, and I hope, I'm not seeing any people shaking their heads no here, but, yeah, let's plan on getting more testing done for some of those concerns, the phosphorus and E. coli and those kind of things.
And maybe with Tyler, that plan he had a few years ago about, you know, all of a sudden now let's think about maybe a little more, because your seawall now is gonna be, you know, 20 yards, you know, behind you, you know, where your dock's gonna be.
Mhm.
You know, are we doing a good job of, you know, are we doing a scorched earth, you know, out there to the dock and, you know, all the sandy beach, or is there a way we can maybe help with, you know, keeping some habitat, you know, for the, you know, the invertebrates and just the little fish and turtles and everything else. I don't know, because gonna be, it's gonna be one of those, I think, one of those summers where it's gonna be those tidal pools as you're walking
Right.
out to the end of your dock. Is you need 2 more dock sections or 3, you know?
Mhm.
So maybe the recommendation for the watershed group would be to have some recommended designs, you know, when your water level's down, this might be the time to, you know, if you have a sheet pile, maybe you would kind of buffer that sheet piling with, you know, something that doesn't scour the whole bottom and cause big impacts, and you would have boulders or something in front of your
Either way, all land, you're still gonna need a
permit.
permit, the landowner will need a
Well-
permit. And really, anything you do nowadays, you're gonna have to have a component of riprap.
Yep.
It's not necessarily an easy task. You know, it's easier to focus with landowners on the upland area and just maintaining a buffer up there, trying to control runoff. But, yeah, I definitely think it's something that, like, it takes a lot of work, but it's something that we don't look at enough. And it's always been kind of my wish with the conservation district too, to have some sort of program, for landowners to maybe pay the cost of some remediation efforts through plantings and various things. And I've gone as far with grant proposals to do some in-water, activities, but then it just, yeah,
Expensive.
Well, and it's hard to get plants, so especially if you're looking for aquatic plants, it's hard to source aquatic plants. But again, it's kind of one of those wish list items that I've kind of always had out there, just don't ever have the time to see it through.
Did you see on Andy's point where the high water went and killed all those trees?
Mhm.
If you go out there, it's just crazy because any trees that weren't supposed to get their feet wet, and I don't know what variety, the popples or whatever, when that water receded, they're all totally dead.
Oh, you mean from the high water a couple of years
Yeah,
ago that came?
And it's
I've
like
seen
the
it.
only thing that's left out there is the conifers, and I mean the cedars and the willows and the trees that are high water tolerant, and all those other trees that got flooded during they probably grew up during the last low water cycle, and they got totally flooded for a couple summers. They're just all, they're all dead.
Yeah.
I mean, and
We even
people
saw
are
that.
tipping them over. They're just like, and it almost looks like it just looks crazy because it's just like someone killed them all. And they did. They got killed I think, by high water.
We even see it with like things like white cedar too, that do like wetter feet, but still there's limitations on inundation, how long that they can be submerged. And things will pop up in their place, most likely as water recedes. As long as you don't have too much dieback from trees, if you were to walk out there, you'll see seedlings coming up. If it is a point where it can support trees still, the problem then is the browse, deer browse. But what you'll see, like you saw when the ash died back, essentially, to know whether or not it can still be a forested swamp, if you were to go out there, you'll see red maples popping up. But oftentimes what happens in like the ash swamps, because they were taking up so much water when they were alive, after they died, the water table actually shifted so much higher that it will no longer support tree species. So then you're through a conversion into a shrub wetland rather than a forested swamp. So, but yeah, on Andy's point out there, it's deer browse is gonna be the issue to try and get anything back even after water recedes.
It's crazy. My brother's got a place out there, and you can look out his back door and see right out. Right now, you can see right out to the Porter's Lake. The Porter's went in, and before you couldn't, because the trees are just all gone.
And that might be something too that we want to think about. I know like Parks and Rec for the township, they've been planting cedar trees with protection out at North Point. But I mean, if that's something that we want to look at for wetlands where we lost trees, or, if we want to look at some sort of project, it might be something that we could pursue.
Well, maybe,
With Natalie, so she can go.
no, well,
Yeah.
but maybe the solution would be deer hunt, and then, like you say, you have a lot of savings.
Tough too.
So.
I do have one comment for Natalie. In your TSI chart, Natalie, towards the end of the report, I was wondering, could you guys include like a paragraph or a summary? Because it's hard to see on that historic Portage Lake TSI values what this year's points actually were.
Yeah, for sure. I could try to play with the formatting too, and maybe we can make those the symbols follow the same shape, but have them be like a different color so that they are more obvious from looking at the
They
graph.
are a
And then,
different color.
sorry.
What's hard to see, they're a different color. What's hard to differentiate is between the years.
Yeah. So I mean, like I could make the 2025 ones different from the historic colors.
Okay.
And then that could help differentiate them. And then as well as I could add a little bit in the caption or for sure.
And
I'll make a note of that.
I think even like in the caption, just 2025 TSI data. So we have an idea of like, hey, this is where the lake averaged this year.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
Any other comments about the lake manager report?
I'll keep looking at it, and if I
Yeah,
have anything, I'll just email Natalie.
yeah.
I did not get a copy of it.
No? Did- So there's an
Oh no,
email.
yeah, who said they didn't get a copy?
Roger, so that would be Onekama
Public Works
Public Works.
at Village of Onekama.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. For sure, I can forward that on.
Thank you.
Yeah, I don't see you on there,
Well, hey, I understand.
I'm sorry.
I can forward to you right now.
That's what I was gonna say.
Can I withhold my late treatment,
Yeah,
payment?
no, double.
I don't live on the water, but I apparently live on a deer reserve right now.
Yeah, if we can get rid of some of the deer, then it would certainly forest it in some of
I think the
that.
sad thing is every time you see a doe, they're having twins or triplets, you know, and it's like, what?
I know, they're so healthy.
I'm shooting them. I shoot one and 5 come to their funerals.
Do we need Natalie any further?
Well, Phil, why don't you start with that and do a synopsis, and I don't know if did Natalie have a chance to review your
Yeah,
draft?
she was gonna have Doug and
Oh, good.
who else?
Mark.
Holman.
Yeah, I
Mark.
forwarded it on to Mark and Doug, and I haven't heard anything back. But once I'm back in office, I can touch base with them and see if they've had the chance to review it. But I looked through it and I didn't see anything glaringly. Yeah, it's pretty cut and dry from some of the other RFPs we've drafted. So
Yeah.
And the only thing I was questioning a little bit was the beginning where it's, prepared for and prepared by. And I didn't know whether to put, prepared for Onekama Township, because they're gonna be issuing the contract,
Mhm.
Right.
and then just put prepared by us. as the-
Yeah, the advisory board,
Committee.
yeah.
Yeah. And then the dates, obviously, were the only other thing I wanted to talk about.
Yeah, the May 1st date was one that was coming up for me, and I was.
Yeah.
Do we have applicators to send this to?
Yes, there was a list with,
Okay.
that Natalie sent to,
Okay.
with that, so
That I didn't see.
I'll forward it to you.
Okay.
I think just Doug and I got it.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. I thought everybody did, I'm sorry. So, we'll have to wait. I mean, I don't know if everybody's had a chance to review it. I did read it, seemed okay. After the pages 4 through 6, Natalie, thank you for
Yes.
jumping in there. That was awesome, the way that turned out too. I think the township board is the one that has to review and send this out. It'd be nice to be able to send it out earlier.
I will double check, cause I don't think they approved sending the RFP out last time. I think it's like, hey, that's why we have this committee. And I think part of the reasoning was if there was something in it that,
Oh, for the treatment.
wasn't appropriate or whatever,
Okay.
they would see it when it came to the contract. Cause the contract, I know they have to approve.
Well,
I
when,
don't think they approved the RFP before. I can go through the minutes.
when we did hire Natalie, her company, I did come to the township board meeting. We did talk about it for that case, but the treatment, since it was just an extension of the previous contract,
You talked to the board about the RFP or about the contract?
the RFP for when we hired Natalie.
But I don't think they reviewed it.
Yeah, I was here and Ed said, yeah, for when we hired not the treatment contractor, it was the consultant. For that, I came to a meeting, I presented and we talked about it. Ed had some nice comments and I remember doing that, but as far as the treatment contractor, since it was an extension,
Okay, then let's assume it's gotta be approved. So that'll be on the 18th.
19.
So should we set the dates and
So we gotta have when is the next township board meeting? We've got February.
February 18th, so you've got.
And after that, it's March.
March
18th.
18th, and then,
And our meeting is the 16th. I mean, should we have,
we'll need a week or two to review the people that submitted the thing, and then have it for the April's Township Board meeting to make that recommendation, and then they need to jump right into the eagle permits. Those township folks, so,
see, I was even gonna question if we should have them submit their stuff by March.
okay,
And I think other than putting the dates on, I think it's pretty much ready to go.
yeah,
You know, we can just modify the dates and
right, I agree.
I mean, so let's assume the board approves it on the 18th. So if you send it on the 19th, if you had things due like March 13th or something, that would be more than 3 weeks for somebody to respond.
do we want it,
Seems you're either going to or you're not.
do we want it before our meeting though? Cause then we
The
could
13th. Our
make a
meeting's the
decision.
16th.
Okay,
I mean, you could move it back further, you know, like to the, but I'm concerned that if we don't do it till April.
I know. Will we get enough people to bid on it in those 3 weeks? Maybe. We try, if we
Yeah,
don't, I guess-
I did just look at the minutes. Cindy reported that the RFP draft had been approved by the board. And it has been sent out to 8 companies.
Okay, so we did approve it. We did. Okay. But then I wondered, didn't they?
That was the December 16th meeting.
Oh, that was, we're behind the ball.
Was that for the lake manager for the?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Yeah, that was for the lake
Oh,
manager.
late manager, okay.
That wasn't for the,
but I'm just saying, it was an RFP.
Yeah,
It wasn't the contract yet. You'd have to look at the township specific minutes to.
yeah, that's what I'm
understand
starting to do.
well, you can talk to your fellow,
Yeah, I mean, let's just assume it's gotta go. So that would mean that there would be an approval potentially February 18th. Which means we could send it out that night when I get home or
yeah,
the 19th.
yeah. Okay. I mean, we can push,
And I don't think for the lake manager, we gave them more than 3 or 4 weeks to respond. Or maybe we did, but it was like during the holidays.
I think this should be fairly simple, you know, because the way it's set up is, you know, your cost per acre to treat, so it should be pretty easy to look at, evaluate, and then.
Yeah, I don't think it would take as long for a
no,
contract to respond to this.
good point. So the township board meeting in March is what day?
18th.
Oh, the 18th, okay. So, yeah, we do need it. If we're gonna get it done, I guess we do need it for the 16th.
Yeah, just because of contract.
Yeah,
I think it's gotta be done then.
okay,
and an RFP due on the 13th. What you said.
oh, 13th.
Yeah, 13th is gonna be due. And then we'll review it on the 16th, make a recommendation to the Onekama Township Board on that week.
And then I'll just make the clerk aware we need the agenda item, but that they're not gonna have anything in their packet till after our meeting.
On the 16th.
Well, in theory, you could hand them an analysis sheet at the meeting. After this group looked over all the proposals,
Right,
if they're reasonably clean, you should be able to come up with this looks like the best option.
Yeah.
If they're not reasonably clean, then
yeah, apples to oranges kind of thing, yeah. That's often what you get from RFPs, though, is, but like Phil said, you know, the dollars per acre, that's
Yeah.
That seems pretty reasonable.
Right, and technically I didn't set it up, that's the way.
Yeah, oh, okay.
Kaiser set it up.
I didn't know, thank you though. Thank you, Natalie. So yeah, I mean, that would give us Monday to redo, we can send it out, have, when I don't know who gets them, it was me, wasn't it?
Oh,
Or was it?
Yeah, I put you as a contact because you were the president.
Yeah,
You want them coming in by email or US mail?
We did sealed envelopes, right? Sealed bids.
We did emails to me
Oh.
last time.
yeah, emails to her was the best.
Okay, that would have to be in the document. then.
Right,
Okay. So, okay.
you want me just to put Cindy as the contact then?
Well, you can put me for questions, but you need to mail it to her.
Yeah, now I found an email, my confusion. I had talked to Ed and Dave about putting the RFP on the agenda. And they didn't have a problem with it, us just doing it, but then when they looked at invasive species bylaws, it said
Oh,
that we would submit it, and that's why we ended up going to the board.
okay, that's good.
That's why I was confused, I'm like, gosh, I remember talking to him.
Good to know.
So would you be able to change the dates to the 13th
Yep.
and,
What days do we
Change.
want to post?
well, the day after the township?
Do you want me to do the 19th, or you want me to wait a little longer, give you a couple days? Does it matter?
No, let's have that written
Right away.
down, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I,
I'd say the 18th.
it would be very likely that I would send it out when I got home from the meeting.
Okay, so 18th. And then her is the submit all proposals to her. So those three changes, are there any other changes that?
I would suggest that we have a paragraph that basically is a statement that all the proposal would become part of the contract. That way,
Oh,
if there's
it'd be
any,
quicker.
well, but if there's any questions about, you bid this and you're doing this, the proposal,
Summary,
A lot
we'll
of-
make sure to send it your way.
yeah, a lot of contracts are written where the proposal is incorporated by reference in the new contract. That way, like I said, if there's may or may not be confusion down the road.
Yeah, so we'll have to have a contract for the township board to approve 2 days after we open our meeting, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you could probably just put the RFP in AI and have it develop a contract that's just fillable, with name and numbers, and then you attach the RFP as an addendum.
If I'm not mistaken, I think that is part of
Okay,
that proposal at the end.
okay.
I think it's in there because it's got the contract and then asks for the township signature and.
It does, yeah, now that you say that.
Yeah,
So, well, that's the case, they do want in terms of.
The contract, oh. But, they could
Well, we haven't
approve it
signed it
based
yet.
on,
So they would send it back with their information in it. We could have it looked at by the attorney and approved if they approve it.
No,
and then
you're
we
right.
sign it.
Item one cover, if item one in the contract draft you've got pretty well says that. Yeah, no problem. That's already in there.
okay, good.
And just from when we did the lake manager, the board meeting was December 17th. And we had the proposals back January 18th. And we had Christmas in there,
Oh, yeah.
so,
Yeah, okay, that's reasonable then. They'll understand too, because they need to get their permits in too.
Well, 3 weeks and it's not the dead of summer where they're all running
Right,
around.
Right, good point. Yeah,
And I
okay.
suspect somewhere they probably have all that information ready to.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's the bread and butter.
Okay, I'll make those changes and then I will forward you the list of contractors too that we received.
So did you make a motion to send this to the township board for review and approval?
Do we need a motion for that?
Do we need, I don't know.
I'll make a motion to send the amended RFP after Phil's edits to the board for approval. RFP / contract.
I'll support that. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. That's good. So. Yeah, we'll be busy meeting next month. Whoever's would like to come to the township board meeting, you're gonna try to move them up to an early state since they're gonna actually be here.
Yeah, I didn't know they were gonna be here, but I still was gonna try to do that, just so
Okay.
that. I mean, I know that, we usually do minutes and like some of that housekeeping kind of stuff.
Right.
And then I think David would be fine moving them up.
And what time's that meeting at?
Your meeting, township
Board meeting?
Okay.
We're talking.
Is that weird, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. It was weird, my mind just went blank for a minute, I'm like.
That's all right.
You're just.
just went blank.
You're entitled.
Yeah, too many. And they usually.
I'm changing it.
Yeah, next Wednesday.
Okay, anything else?
When do you say the next meeting of this group is?
He said March 16th at 4 o'clock.
Okay.
That's what I wrote down.
Yeah,
Do we have, are we sticking to that? I was gonna, could we just maybe talk about April? Is that what you're thinking about too?
sure.
I mean, I'm just trying to get I might do a
Maybe the
few.
20th, it looks like, maybe. Is what,
Yeah,
the third
April.
Monday.
Okay.
It would be the 20th.
I'm gonna be walleye fishing, but that's okay. Bill can do 2 votes.
So I will say that I probably will not be in attendance for any of March. And I'll have to see, after that. So essentially the way my, paternity leave will be working is I will be working a day or 2 a week. But I kind of have to focus on district duties when I'm in the office, so.
Do you have someone you can send?
Not until we backfill my old position.
No, okay.
Congratulations.
That's right.
So it may be a couple of months that
Yeah,
I'm missing meetings.
nice. Oh, no, not nice that you're missing, but nice that you have a baby.
And then, yes, eventually, if we backfill my position, which would be a new specialist, most likely I'll resign from this committee and see about putting them on once they're up to speed.
We'll see.
Yeah.
I don't think Tyler said that like it was your choice. Saying that's not quite the way I heard it.
And what about, is our guest gone now? Is she checked out?
Looks like it.
Good. I was just wondering about,
Wait, that's.
Yeah, she hung up.
Yeah.
Cindy, I'm having a moment too.
Good, thank you.
the,
Thanks for making me feel
the
better.
gal from the tribe, the
Oh.
Alexis, I just was curious. I've been reading about her wild rice thing on different lakes, and I just thought it was very interesting.
Yeah,
That she seemed like she's really
yeah,
aggressively pursuing that, and I
I
just
know.
thought that's sort of a cool project.
it is. It is.
And
Last time I talked with her, she says, like with every
yeah,
meeting, she says, I'm just too busy and, you know. So we can decide if we wanna fill that role. I mean, she was certainly stepped down, but I kind of liked her with her expertise when we really needed it, you know?
Yeah, I almost feel like we probably should get something formal from Alexis. As far
Right,
as.
yeah, before we, well, yeah, she wanted to give me that months ago, even before
Yeah.
the consultant.
Or maybe somebody, I know some of those younger, we know some of the younger people that work in, I don't know what part of the tribal biology or whatever, but you know, there's some up and coming young
Yeah,
people they've been hiring. Maybe there's someone she could recommend, because it would be nice to have a tribal presence on our committee. You know what I mean? I think that's helpful.
I know because Alex Onkos is newer. Yeah, he's got a wife that works at the tribe too, so he's a biologist. And I think he was taking on a lot of Alexis's stuff. And he came to Greater Bear Watershed Alliance meeting, was gonna be a part of the Greater Bear on behalf of the tribe. And that was the only meeting I saw him at for the year, so I just don't know if the tribe's they've got him too busy to, but from what I've heard, they want them involved at the local level, so. Yeah, I'm not sure.
And maybe when you talk to her, Doug, she may have a recommendation, you know what I mean?
yeah,
And someone that could, you know, maybe have the time, because it'd be nice to have that presence.
sure would, I mean, and that expertise too.
Yeah.
Especially if we're gonna lose Tyler too.
Well, you'd only lose me if I had somebody to put in my place.
Yeah,
I think.
right. Hey, anything else?
And maybe it would be good, we got a guest here, it would be nice to have someone from the watershed maybe, you know, on this, because some of these, no, I'm serious. I mean, some of these projects that, talking to landowners about their lawn and the beach and, you know, how they do this different stuff, it's integral to the,
It
you know,
is.
how they manage the invasive species, like the neighbor that met with us and wanted to, you know, cut that channel, you know, from their driveway to the middle of the lake for their, you know, pontoon boat. I mean, you know, that's gonna even be more of a quagmire down there this year. You know,
Well, and what happened, if you missed that discussion, what happened is previously they had cut those channels. And that's where the invasive species are concentrating, are those channels that people are cutting, the algae, what is,
Starry Stone.
starry stonework, that they're concentrating in those channels that people have taken all the native plants out. The places where we have native plants, they're doing great, but where people are messing with it, that's where we're having the problems with invasives, so those channels.
I wrote a couple of those things down.
Okay.
Yeah, because we're trying to, get back in gear again. So,
Good,
yeah, I did write a couple of those things down and, you know, the family owns the Canfield, the carriage house.
oh,
You know,
yeah,
right by the Canfield Manor.
yeah.
And, yeah, I can encourage them to put some more native plants in. I wrote that down and, cause I know Jean Capper's really into native plants.
She is.
Put those trees in, put those plants in. So, you know, if we can start maybe by using the carriage house as an example and put that out there and maybe have some kind of a meeting. I don't know.
well, we thought the same thing, is use the village property, you know, to
Okay.
manage,
Yeah.
like the garden club
Don't
does
remember
their
this at all.
butterfly garden, their native garden.
Would you
Maybe
mind
we
sending
could
that back to me?
have some expertise, show you how to garden your beachfront.
Yeah.
Because they're not saying,
Don't remember.
if you want a spot for the kids to walk out and go to play in the sand and all that, that's perfect. But it doesn't mean your whole 125 feet of frontage needs to be scorched to the earth, all sand, you know what I mean? You could leave some of the stuff and then still have a nice area to recreate.
Here to the garden club too, so
Yeah.
I will put that buzz in, Pam.
I never even
Yeah,
noticed.
and Tyler had some good ideas as far as, there was literature out on it, wasn't there?
Yeah, there's some good stuff from Lake Leelanau Association on natural shorelines. And that was something that I wanted to bring to Portage Lake as well. Cause they use the garden club as like natural shoreline advisors, so essentially what they've set up is they have their master gardeners, their garden club representatives go through a training on native plants that grow along shorelines, the importance of them. And then actually those people would visit with landowners on the lake and design a garden for them. Utilizing like native plants, and, yeah, Lake Leelanau has kind of kicked off that project, and I think they've done, last I heard, like 30 properties, where they've done actual plantings, and she's got a boatload of materials.
Which garden club?
Well, I'm not sure what garden club she uses, or if it's Master Gardeners, it's Lake Leelanau.
Oh, Lake Leelanau, okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, her name is, it's escaping me, but I'll share it with you.
Okay.
Share her
Okay.
contact info.
Sure, great.
I met her once too, and I don't remember her name.
Annalise Pavlova.
Oh,
Really?
Mhm.
That's a name.
Yeah,
no, that's not the person that was. Okay.
But some of that stuff, if you do it now, when the high water comes, you help preserve your beach and your frontage
Mhm.
and your lake and, you know, because of the root structures and all that other kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So,
And it chews up some of that phosphorus before it gets in the lake, you know?
yeah.
yeah, and I was really hoping to do some, cause through MSU, there's a natural shoreline contractor training. And I just went through it on Bear Lake a couple times this year where I did some assessments for somebody. We were gonna do some really cool stuff, what they wanted to do, and through that natural shoreline contractor, they have special training on doing the permits, doing the work. And they're doing away with that contractor training that MSU's not doing anymore. Every contractor I reached out to was no longer doing the work, so it's hard to find people that can, do things the right way. But I think for the most part, if somebody has a simple minor permit project, that would be something that I'd be happy to assist with at the conservation district. If I had people that came to us interested in doing something, I'd absolutely help them with the permit application and help them with the design. It's just getting the word out and finding the people that are actually interested.
Well, like you said, the garden club and the watershed partnership may be able to.
Yeah, I'd love to set up a demonstration site somewhere, and that's kind of always it'd be a good community foundation grant, something like that. You just have to have the property to do it on.
Well, see if your group wants to help with that. That'd be great.
Mhm,
But yeah, I think we should probably work together more.
mhm.
So if you have any thoughts on that too, we certainly welcome any thoughts about getting somebody here or, something else. I don't know. I assumed that Tyler was helping with some of that, but I'm sure he was. But it sounds like he's gonna be busy for a while and not busier, so we might have to revisit that partnership somehow. So. Apparently there was a letter that I did not get until she just asked me. It came to everybody else. What's
It's
it
about
about?
the Jennifer Smeltzer and treating on
Yes.
township property adjacent to this person's property. They think there's some Phragmites. That's the gist of it I got. I wasn't sure what parcel it is. Is it a road end?
I remember seeing that. It's
Back up in, I question whether that was even like our jurisdiction. Whether, our.
It's another one of those incorrect deals.
Yeah, but it's kind of up the creek. He claims it's a park, but.
it's like,
I don't
it's
remember
across the road,
Okay.
across,
The point road.
yeah, Porter's Point. There's like a little triangular piece of property that I think is owned by the township adjacent to the wetlands property, but it's like kitty corner. But yeah, I don't know. It's township property.
Oh, it's township?
I'm pretty
That's
sure, yeah,
Fraga.
it's like, it's this
That's a-
parcel right here.
Oh, wow, right there.
I think that one.
Is that Porter's Point
It's
Drive?
either this one or this one. It's like a triangular piece.
Where the guys tear everything up.
Yeah, it's.
Running
it's
way
further
up
than
in the
that.
woods.
think
I,
it's
I looked at the
here.
map
Yeah, I
and
think
it
it's
was,
that.
and it's like, well, this is not even close to the water, you know,
Yeah.
what?
Right.
Well, the SAD, it has some nebulous language and interpretation, and if it does, you know, if it would cause frag to spread all over the lake again, because they have so many seeds, then maybe we could look at it, but, so and sometimes it's native frag, and I'm not sure if that's the same spot we had looked at a
Yeah.
couple years ago that was native.
Native frag, it doesn't do well in disturbed areas, so usually
Oh.
when you find native frag, it's in a very pristine area.
Yeah,
So pretty much 99% of the time, if it's like on roadside ditch,
oh, yeah,
it's not gonna be a native
that's
frag
true.
population.
So they want us to treat it?
Well, and that's where, yeah, so yeah, it's this small
Was kind of blaming the township property for his issue.
triangle right
Because
there.
it's coming out of his property.
Where does this guy live?
He's the next.
He says he adjacent
Yeah, so
landowner.
he's these properties right here across from Woodland Drive.
Well, now's not the time to treat it, really.
No,
What, across from Woodland Drive?
Yeah,
That
so-
can't be.
so no, north of
Pass.
Woodland. So Eden's down here.
Where's Herco at?
Urkel Rath is right here.
So it's between Herco and
Woodland
Right
Drive.
by the
so
little
that's where
creek there,
the wrap
Kevin.
around.
where that guy's doing all that work,
Yeah, but on the north side of the road.
Yeah, other side of the
where
road.
that guy's tearing everything up.
Yeah, other side of the road.
Yeah.
So, I mean, really, the time to treat frag is August, September, you know, so we have some time to look into this.
Well, we maybe should at least make, the lake manager aware of it, cause there's that huge big, I think they're Phragmites when you just go around the corner here, right on the left-hand side.
Yeah.
Across from those houses down in there,
Yeah,
isn't that a whole big thing of frag? Down there by, my in-laws have a cottage there, but on the,
oh, okay,
right where the old railroad grade went through, where that guy has that,
oh,
or that shop up there.
okay,
What
Blackberry Farms.
Blackberry Farms, yeah. If you look between that last house and then where the guy has his driveway that goes up to the Blackberry Farm, whatever it's called, there's a whole big, it's a drainage in there. And then the drain comes through, goes underneath the road,
okay.
right
yeah.
through right between my father-in-law's property and the
There was a
neighbors.
Bit up in there, wasn't there?
It looked like Phragmite, and I always wondered, do those seeds
Mhm.
carry down
They would.
to
yeah.
the lake?
Yeah, there's millions of.
Yeah.
And so that was when we talked to our own lake manager, Bree, is that something we should be treating?
Well, and that's where I think you have to look at the language of the particular SAD, because some of them are worded for like lake improvements, some are worded watershed improvements, and how do you draw that? Well, Cindy sent it out, and I'm pretty sure,
Vague.
yeah, it's vague, but it definitely leans more towards lake focused. Now,
But Roger's a backlot owner and he's paying for it. So that's the thing, the people back, it's not just the people on the lake pay a different rate, as I
Right.
understand. But if you're up on the hill or where my house is up the couple hills, we're still being assessed for it.
yeah, because you utilize the lake essentially.
Is everybody in the township paid, Cindy?
Yeah.
So you just get a different rate?
Percentage, yeah.
I think that's what it looked like.
Yeah, so you're all paying for it, so when these backlot owners are asking about it, I mean, I think maybe it's worth
And
entertaining.
I think where there's a direct conduit to the lake, it makes it much easier. Like even your property, that little pond that you've
Yeah.
got frag in that,
Yeah.
Yeah,
that,
I want wild right.
yeah. That one is one that, has a tributary that's feeding
Absolutely.
directly into
Yeah,
the
it
lake.
should be.
Cause if you wanna
Yeah.
transfer every wetland, I mean, all of Porter's Point is full of frag.
That's true. But we did treat it, a lot of it.
Yeah, but I'm saying like up in, like,
With the,
these swamps through
Yeah,
here.
yeah,
Well, we didn't get too far off shore, but yeah, we had to push for permits and I had to get DNR approval and everything to get that.
Another thing we might wanna look at for frag specifically is utilization of the invasive species network out of Traverse. Cause they do it at
Yeah,
a
I'm
cost
not in
share.
that board and, they have a list this long.
I know they have a
Very
whole,
few.
whole long list, but like I know Manistee uses them for knotweed and everything else, and frag is still a priority species. I just think,
Yeah, if you're a big squeaky wheel, and I
Yeah.
could certainly assist with that if we think there's.
I just think with our treatment contractor, they're so focused on, like,
Like-
whatever they're going after, they're doing it from the boat. To get people out there with backpack sprayers on foot,
They
might be.
can.
And I think if this is a second request we've had from a landowner now, and, I'm just thinking we probably at least ought to look into it, and not, not saying
No, I guess we would need a review.
upstream, it's up creek. I mean, like Tyler says, these are not just,
Right,
these are not marshes these are marshes and have little creeks that when you're talking about, they used to call that Indian Creek or something, that thing goes,
Yeah,
it ends up right in the middle of that little Eden swamp. And it's a heavy flow.
I think it's a good idea, whether or not the SAD would let us, and I don't know if we need to have an attorney or somebody else, or if the board wants to make that decision based on that SAD language, that we can go and nuke plants that are not right on the lake shore.
I just know that we've kind of brought it up with the township board. Ed initially was like, yeah, I don't know why you wouldn't treat wetlands, and then after that, it was like, well, maybe we shouldn't be doing wetlands, so.
Yeah,
Or
It's
maybe,
not the first time this is.
I agree,
No,
and then maybe you could, if they think it doesn't work for that, if you got on that list for that Traverse City thing, and the township would maybe even have some money, if they wanted to do it bad enough, they could just do it out of another fund or something, you know what I mean? If they say, well, our intent of this legislation was 10 foot from the water's edge, you know what I mean? You
Yeah.
can't go up into cause that's what I've even heard looking into these high level of phosphorus creeks. At what point did she say, hey, I'm the lake manager, what's happening a quarter mile upstream from Shimpkey Creek and Easy Street? Is that really in my purview? You know what I mean?
Well, maybe we need to get, because if coming down Shimkey and Easy Street, we wanna go upstream and deal with whatever the problems are that's causing the algae blooms in the lake.
And Adam, those guys did it several years ago. They spent extra money to have it tested, remember?
Right,
And they said, hey, we wanna know what, they even tested to see whether it was human fecal matter
Yeah,
or
yeah.
animal.
Yeah,
Because it's not like, here's our second lake manager, it's got on their radar, so it's like, there's something there, and where's the there? I mean, why is it continually year up to year? Is it just stagnation? Does it have the right flow? Settles out in there, could be septic. This other one down here used to go through some cow fields and this and that, maybe it was sheep, or, maybe it was
yeah.
I don't think those Joneses have a bunch of cows anymore, do they? For that's always was the suspect is they have some farms up through there that,
Yeah, Johnson's up further that used to have cattle, and I don't think there's any cattle. Well, all the way up by Norwalk now, there's the Amish guy that's got some animals there, up the end of Lyman Road, but,
Mhm.
Oh,
you know,
that's
he's
quite a
just,
ways up.
yeah, he just built there, so.
Yeah, so the SAD language,
I
Yeah,
was just looking at it too.
yeah, so it refers to the Portage Lake Invasive Plant Species Management and Control Program to properties in the Portage Lake Invasive Special Assessment District. Um,
so it includes Roger.
Twice a year.
yeah. And I got a house and I got a lake frontage, so I get a double shot.
Oh, yeah, the lakefront.
Yeah, so- establish a special assessment district for the eradication or control of aquatic weeds and plants in and around Portage Lake.
In and around.
Yep.
So the one with the legal definition of around is.
Right.
Yeah.
Whereas the Onekama,
Cause once you open that door, then it just keeps getting bigger.
well, and that's where this would be the argument.
Highest point,
Here's,
all the way around the township. Say, okay.
Yeah.
he's got something
So,
else.
whereas the Onekama Township Board is aware of continued growth of invasive species within and around Portage Lake, possible degradation of water quality of Portage Lake. So, I think you could make an argument that those areas around.
Or degradation of the lake.
Mhm.
I mean, if those plants release all those seeds and they flow right down.
Especially if you use the criteria, there's a creek. The headwaters of a creek or something that starts there that goes down to the lake. If it's just somebody's land up on some sand dune, it's not where you're carrying the seeds down to the watershed.
And,
I mean, the water.
and what do we got, a few years before we have to, and maybe we clean up the language for the next SAD renewal.
Yeah, I think how I would suggest we handle it is not have it be part of the lake manager's job to necessarily survey for these problems outside, but have essentially a request form from landowners. I just worry that, I don't want to get flooded with requests for just every treatment under the sun on somebody's, it's got to be very specific, what species we are targeting for control.
And it's not the first time, but, I mean, we had, giant, we had some plants and I was getting requests for, the ones right behind them.
Knotweed.
Knotweed, yeah.
Yeah, which I think that's a bigger problem than your Phragmites.
I do too.
I
There's
think so.
absolutely no question about that in my mind.
I'd like to see a township do something there.
Yeah, they treated it once, but then Phil was getting a bunch of grief from some of the fishermen about treating plants behind the township office, and so I don't know.
Well,
What was the?
no, it wasn't the town, the smell was what we got the grief on from that.
Oh,
Cause everybody was smelling diesel fuel. They said it smelled like diesel fuel. And it was the same time we treated, so.
Who did the treatment?
BLM.
Bonnie Castle, they just don't.
Well, so type 2, so when you're using an oil-based herbicide, type 2 fuel oils is approved like surfactant, but you shouldn't be using oil-based herbicides in water, which technically it's not, but I wouldn't
It
go
was
that
flooded
route.
at the time.
Yeah,
Yeah, cause that was a complaint I got. from
Oh,
that.
I misunderstood.
The other one was when the private landowners sprayed all the cattails on this a
Yeah.
couple of years prior. Cause they want to be able to see the lake better.
So, yeah, I'd like to see the knotweed and I talked with Dave and I talked at a board meeting about,
Most of them have it.
that's the only thing with those though, that's a commitment. I mean, you're treating it for the next 7 years.
Or 20,
Yeah,
19 for the ones out there in town.
Well, does it become a point where we just need to look at what we have and prioritize what we're doing with it?
yeah.
As far as the money goes. Cause obviously I think our lake probably comes first, but then, anything that's contributing to the issues within the lake.
We have unspent money.
That's what I'm saying. At the end of the day, you shouldn't, you should not have unspent money, because it's hard to renew stuff when you're not spending what you're being allocated. And not that you spend just to spend. What's that?
Claimed he had 2 properties he's paying on, now he wants to keep paying.
No, I don't mind it. I don't mind it. My civic duty, pay taxes.
Apparently you got more money and knows what to do.
Not me, it's my wife. She's working.
No, I think like you say, I think knotweed is a lot worse than frag. In Europe, you have to share with, when you're selling your property, you have to share that you had knotweed, even if it was a long decade ago or something, you had to share, and the property value dies. And there was even a guy who committed suicide because he was trying to sell it in Europe, in Britain, where he declared that he had knotweed years ago and his property value went down and he got depressed and killed himself. So, I've seen it roots go right through a block wall or concrete this thick. Go through a tire if you have your wheelbarrow there too long. It's really bad stuff. And Yeah, and I see it all through this township and that it certainly took property values down in, you know, European countries and it's bound to eventually catch up with us here. And if you don't take care of it, it takes off.
Yeah, is there, are garden clubs and the people aware of it? I mean, I wouldn't know what a knotweed looks like. I mean, personally, I'm ignorant.
It's a bad.
It's big enough, it looks like bamboo.
It does.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's what we always get is it, I've got Michigan bamboo on my property. I'm like, well, there's no such thing as Michigan bamboo. I know what you got.
It's a big problem.
Did they buy it at Crystal Gardens? For their ornamental bamboo?
You can't even, if you have it on your property, you can't remove it. Cut it down and take it anywhere else and put it in the landfill or something. It's against the law. It's so bad. One little nodule of this thing will take the plants a little crazy.
Really?
It's a horrible.
That's why it gets kind of exponentially worse because it grows in, again, disturbed areas. So you see it in ditches and then they come through and mow them and they just shoot it everywhere. So yeah,
It's a rhizome, and you got a little piece of root like that, and it'll grow a forest.
yeah, it's rhizominous, but it also like aquatic plants sprouts from vegetation. So like if like Doug said, if you have one of those nodules, that it can grow a root right from that, you know, could have been 3 feet up on the plant and you put it on the ground and it'll reroot and take off as a new plant. But Bear Lake, they've got it around on the north side of their lake and ISN treats that every year for the landowners, people that are interested.
I've asked Audrey about coming to this township and she said, you know, we have so much to do, but I can twist her arm, you know, I'm on their board, I'm doing things for them, they can just do stuff for me.
I just know how ISN treats invasives and I trust them more than I trust PLM to treat.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Yeah,
they do it right. So, yeah, there was a guy up on top of the hill over here that had it and we had a long discussion and he says, who can I come and treat it? He was concerned he had it was a big field, not field, but on top of the hill this way and you can see it. I mean, he had a nice view of the lake, but until it came up every year, and it would block his view and he was asking about it and I shared. And I never did follow up with him, but I said, you know, I call ISN, see if they can do it. Here's some treatment contractors. I said, it's a problem. It's a lot of money and you might be able to even, you know.
Japanese.
Yeah.
Yeah, I almost think that something like that too, if ISN can't do it, then it's almost like for those terrestrial species, you need to have like Jim Scarlatta on a separate contract, which.
That was the guy I recommended.
Yeah, so I mean, we've done it with Parks and Rec, but Jim is swamped too, whether you hear back from him about it, it's just so hard to find somebody that is like an actual registered applicator that has the time to actually respond to you or do it. And that's just my concern with spreading things to, it's not that I don't want it to be done. I'd love to spend SAD dollars on it. It's just, it's a lot more work to try and get someone to do it and do it right.
I had brought it up to the township board and shared some of those stories and they were just wide-eyed and, oh my gosh, you know, what are we gonna do about that? And then I didn't follow up with them.
Going right through the pavement.
Yeah, I've seen it firsthand doing road stream crossing inventories, on the east side where there's a culvert and you've got one plant growing on one side and the entire road around the culvert is just splitting and crumbling away. And like you got the same plant coming through the road and up on the other side of the road. Then I see people that planted next to their house and I'm just like, your foundation's in trouble.
Well, not too long ago, Veterans Parkway in Manistee, it was on both sides.
Oh, yeah, that ISN treated that.
Yeah.
It was like 17 or 19 years. They had to treat it every single
Oh,
year.
yeah, it won't go away. It doesn't die
No,
easy.
no, but it's gone now. They finally got it there. But it was every year they would come back. So that's why they're kind of, do we want to do that kind of commitment? I mean, once you start, they'll continue to do it.
Yeah.
But we do have some SAD money, and if, I guess that would be up to the township board, whether or not they would want to start going after that stuff, and
Maybe.
you'd have to investigate whether the SAD
Oh,
would cover
okay.
that.
Usually, promote that, cause then people plant it.
They got a YouTube video here, a guy eating it, cause it's good edible.
Yeah,
Don't eat the seeds off. Bad.
some guy carved a bowl, I don't know, can't remember, it was, yeah, they were using it as paper too, and they grind it up and.
That's garlic
Oh,
mustard.
God, okay.
Interesting. Learned something today.
It's a bad one if you see it on your property, and I pulled it on my property.
I wouldn't even know, I didn't, not even sure what to look for. Now I do, a little bit.
I mean, if you do decide you have one little plant, make sure you get it all, cause if there's any little bit left, then it's gonna come back with vengeance. Roundup does it. Yeah, keep using it.
I mean, only the 41%.
Yeah,
Don't buy the diluted stuff. They're just like fertilizer.
yeah. It really sort of pushes it back a little bit, but yeah,
Yeah, if it gets big enough, the best way to control it is to actually inject it.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, some people claim when it's the bamboo stage, you cut the stalk off and pour the chemical
Yeah,
down
just
in it.
fill it up with
Within
the cup.
20 minutes or so, yeah,
But it takes a while.
yeah. Anything else?
Well, I don't know where we're leaving that, but.
Where do you wanna leave it? I mean, so we gotta find out if the SAD will cover it, what the SAD covers, and we've had that discussion with the board, and I don't know if they've ever had the lawyer look into that or not. Ed might remember. Covered terrestrial
So we're
stuff.
not making a recommendation, you just want me to find out.
Well,
Cause it seems like years past, they've called in.
The
with
park,
what they
remember the
thought was
park?
frag,
Oh,
and we just made a list, and then when they were out here doing their treatments for a survey, we had them check on it and just confirm whether it was or not.
that was Fred.
And, and that was frag, out around Andy's Point, and that it seemed like was the area, if I remember correctly.
The only,
But that's what I mean, if we're not gonna do anything with it till August or September, I just make a list and tell them we'll be more than happy to check on it when the lake manager's around, if the township's good with it, and if it is, then we'll discuss treatment.
yeah, cause we did get that letter, I guess we're gonna have to follow up and figure out if we can treat it up with the SAD. If we can, that's great. Cause Kevin's got some. And I'm sure there's others.
fried mighties, but I don't know if I
Yeah,
got Japanese now.
Right, frag. The knotweed is a terrestrial plant.
Mhm. It just, you'll find it in.
Yeah, but we
Winter.
have it right behind the
Yeah.
office here, so.
And I think truthfully, if you're gonna walk one creek, you'd almost wanna get permission to walk most of these feeder creeks around the lake, cause I think that there's probably pockets of it, up and down these feeder creeks that feed, this one here and then this one, I mean, and the one out by the point. I think we're not
For the backpack and,
we're not talking about one, we're talking about, it'd be neat, just, I think, to maybe identify, what you're up against, is there,
well, if you're gonna walk it, you might as well have a backpack for somebody that knows what they're doing. And
Well, you gotta have permission from,
the landowner.
landowners, yeah.
no, I mean, yeah, I think you're talking something different, which would be like a mass letter to riparian owners Creekside and say like surveys are taking place, would we have permission to treat on your property if it was found?
Invasive plant. Identify the plant.
I mean, this north side, there's a culvert every you know, there's a lot more that we're not, you know, there's a lot of
Yeah.
these creeks that flow out of that.
Yeah, which is that's the other aspect. I guess if we're gonna treat for one property owner, what is the total impact at the end of
Yeah,
the day?
you're gonna wind up doing more than just one.
Yeah.
Glen Park, cause they got Phragmites in it. You ever seen?
No,
That's right by your house.
Glenn's pretty pristine.
I haven't been in.
They don't have anything in
Yeah,
But I was only talking that one as far as putting it on the list because the township owned it, the property.
Yeah, and that's where the confusion has come because whether it was Parks and Rec's responsibility cause they do their own terrestrial invasive control
Mm,
and it was gonna be all put on Parks to do the parks, or it was gonna be put on us to do all the township properties, and then basically we didn't, I don't know where it ended up going from there, but Parks went and had a survey done of all of the park properties. And now they have an invasive species management plan that they will tackle through Parks, but they don't have like a direct budget for invasive species, so they have to request an allocation each year in the budget. But like that property, that's not on Parks radar. That's just a township owned parcel that
mm,
they're not doing anything with that.
Somebody donated it or
Yeah,
tax return.
something, yeah.
so I don't know what the plan of action is.
I'd say treat it if the SED lets us. If the SED doesn't let us, then it's the township board's problem.
well, at least we're looking into it.
Yeah.
That we tell the guy, well, at least we are looking into it.
You know, we're probably, sounds like we're pretty sure it's probably
Yeah,
Frank, but you know, we would have to have somebody confirm it.
yeah, and I mean, I can confirm it, whether or not, I just have to make a trip out there. I don't know if it'll be
Get an idea.
hard,
of the size.
it might be hard to know this time of year, but if it's really vigorous growth in there, like it's pretty obvious when it's non-native. But typically you can tell late season, cause what will happen on native frag, they lose the leaves on them easier and sooner in the year, and the sun will actually change the color of the stalk. So that's usually how professionals will tell, is it'll be more of a red hue in that stalk from the sun fading. Whereas the non-native stuff really holds on to those leaf sheaths and it will just kind of look like one tall, pampas grass type thing.
I didn't know that.
You know, we learned something today.
Yeah.
Yeah, the native stuff won't get as big as the non-native.
Right.
Generally, it's just, it looks bigger, beefier, more aggressive than the native. But I don't run into native very often. I think I know 2 instances in all of the work that I've ever done here in Portage Lake, and then another lake that we surveyed over on the east side of the state, where we actually found native populations.
Cause we had a look at a spot out by Andy's Point and Bree came back and said, no, it was native,
Mm.
so we ended up not doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah. You come out and take a look.
Yeah. You call me sometime. I think I got some. Yeah, I thought it was bamboo or something.
Oh, you might have that too?
I think I do.
Roundup was good.
Overall, our problem.
Yeah. Well, that's on the creek that's on the other side of my property that ends up going down to, Brook Street.
It would,
It goes down by that creek.
That was all the way over here. don't it?
Yeah.
Behind the church.
Yeah, that's another creek that's right on our property.
it wouldn't surprise me because
Restart
it's
our
everywhere in this township. I mean, I see it all over the place and it's only gonna get worse. So. I don't know what we can do to take care of that, but. And. We'd almost have to hire a separate contractor. That specializes in terrestrial invasives. Wetland Wildlife Solutions, they are pretty good.
Yeah,
That's ones I always used.
have you used them a lot up here?
Yeah, I used them more than Scarlata, that's for sure. So,
Yeah,
and that's what ISM uses.
yeah,
So we'd have to hire a different contractor
I
and,
mean, you can see with the lake contractor who we hire, they've
Yeah.
got
Yeah,
experience. I've seen PLM treat terrestrial stuff and I'm not in favor of
no,
PLM
they
doing that.
nuke everything and then everything that's left comes back as a different invasives. Yeah.
That's just the nice thing about ISN is, you can count on it on the annual thing.
Right. Well, I mean, you'd have to pay them, and they just up their charges $100. But, yeah, I mean, we could certainly pay them, and it'd be nice to know if we had the SED, like Kevin says, we need to use that money up, or they won't get as much next time.
So action is to inform the landowner that we are looking into it and clarify SAD language with the board, make sure that we are within our rights to treat this property.
Yeah,
Start there.
Sounds fair. Identify it and then decide what we can or can't do.
yeah. Good. Anything else that I missed? Okay, motion. Adjourned. All right. we'll see
All
you
in favor,
guys.
second?
Cause we gotta be careful, cause I think that, and nothing against those couples that came in the end of the year last year, but they wanted us to take over their entire treatment program.
Right,
I mean, using the,
right,
it was obvious for and that wasn't removing invasives, that was cutting their cattail trail through to the cattail marsh.
yeah,
Yeah, I guess my biggest concern too is if we've got a body of water